We are potentially hours or even days away from the end of the impeachment saga, with Donald Trump making several gains throughout the whole ordeal. Now, I can say Trump already won when we look at how much money he's raised or his approval rating, but the reality is Trump won before this even started. Betting markets consistently predicted Trump would win, and the odds of a Trump victory steadily increased over the past several months. I can't really understand why Democrats would want to do this, but we all knew that they were going to lose. The latest news as of the recording of this video is that Senator Murkowski has come out against impeachment witnesses, putting Trump on path to acquittal. But let's be real. Trump is going to be acquitted basically no matter what. We knew this from the get-go. There's no way 2/3 of the Senate would vote to remove Donald Trump. If they call witnesses, all it would do is prolong the case. And why? Why would they do this? Now, here's my warning to the Republicans. You may sit back and laugh at the gains Trump has made or the fact that he was destined to win. But the Democrats aren't giving up, and they're already announcing future plans for how they're going to jam up the president. Earlier this morning on my second channel, I was heavily critical of the Republicans because they refused to effectively slay the beast. After Russiagate, what did they do? Did they bring any of these liars to justice? No. Now, there are some investigations. Trump is certainly looking into this. We have the Durham investigation, so potentially. But because there was never justice, Ukrainegate happened. Now we know that there may have been a conspiracy among some holdovers from the Democratic administration to conspire against the president. Maybe not. It's a report from Real Clear Investigations. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't like entertaining conspiracies. But Rand Paul brought it up. Will the Republicans actually go after this and call for witnesses? The answer is no. And if they don't get justice to figure out why this keeps happening, rest assured, Russiagate 3 is just around the corner. And some of the most prominent Russiagator anti-Trump personalities are already calling for more. The Democrats won't stop. Trump keeps winning. He will likely win re-election. But I want to walk you through this and show you we are on the path to Trump's acquittal. But this may actually extend into next week due to the State of the Union as well as the Iowa caucus. So let's do this. Let's check out the latest data on Murkowski, which basically means we're done. Trump has won. And I want to show you some of the lies the Democrats have pushed forward in this case. I want to tell you why I think they want witnesses. I think for the most part, it's just to prolong this. I don't know why. I really can't wrap my head around why they want to keep helping the president. I'll show you how he raised the money, and we'll walk through the latest details. As this is a major breaking story, by the time you watch this, a lot of details may have already changed. However, some people predict maybe late tonight, Trump could be completely acquitted, and you might be watching this video after that fact. Or it could extend into next week. But rest assured, the desperate Democrats have plans, and I'll show you. Not only that, they're already trying to lie about what some of the Republicans are saying to make it seem like there's no fair trial here. And I'll show you that too. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There are several ways you can give, but the best thing you can do is just share this video. I know breaking echo chambers is pretty impossible, but at least by sharing, some people might see this. They might agree or disagree, but at least they'll hear something they didn't normally hear. Not only that, sharing really does help with me growing my channel. Let's read the news from Fox News. They say, Murkowski comes out against impeachment witnesses, putting Trump on path to acquittal. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski came out Friday against calling witnesses in President Trump's impeachment trial, all but assuring the Senate will move to wrap up proceedings with a likely acquittal in a matter of days, if not hours. Quote, given the partisan nature of this impeachment from the very beginning and throughout, I have come to the conclusion that there will be no fair trial in the Senate. I don't believe the continuation of this process will change anything. It is sad for me to admit that, as an institution, the Congress has failed, said Murkowski, a key moderate senator who has been closely watching on the witness question. They say the announcement came after Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, who also had been on the fence on the issue, announced late Thursday he would not support additional witnesses in the Trump shallow, hurried, and wholly partisan trial. Right now, Senator Susan Collin of Maine and Mitt Romney of Utah are the only GOP senators to signal support for witnesses. Presuming Democrats vote as a bloc and no other Republicans defect, this would leave the pro-witness side with just 49 votes. The Senate is expected to vote on the witness question later Friday. From there, proceedings could drag on through Friday night and into the weekend and possibly beyond. But it takes 2/3 supermajority to convict a president. Few senators have publicly budged from party lines during the course of the trial, leaving impeachment managers far short of the votes needed to convict, barring some extraordinary turn. Now, ultimately, what I see here is complete hypocrisy on the part of the Democrats. Let me warn the Republicans. This is going to be one of the most important things, and I hope you're paying attention. As I stated, the Republicans need to seek justice for all of the fake scandals that have now emerged. Russiagate was a lie. Ukrainegate was a lie. We now have the former prosecutor in Ukraine demanding criminal charges against Biden. It doesn't mean that Biden is guilty, but it does provide a reasonable person with a belief that Joe Biden may have done something wrong and should be investigated. There's no grounds for impeaching the president. It's just another scam, another desperate attempt that won't stop here. Let me show you something. The Democrats are outraged right now that there's not going to be witnesses. All that would do is prolong the trial. But let me show you this first. From the National Review in December, Judiciary Democrats block Republican request for Adam Schiff to testify during impeachment hearings. Now, you may say, yeah, but Schiff is a politician who's leading the charge. Calling him to testify is absurd. Okay. Well, the Republicans also wanted Hunter Biden. This story from November 9th. House GOP asked Hunter Biden and whistleblower to testify in impeachment probe, and the Democrats said no. So why are they now upset that Republicans in the Senate are saying no to witnesses? The Republicans would certainly just call Hunter and Joe. Now, I think the Republicans should call witnesses. I guess they want to end the impeachment as quickly as possible, but I'll tell you what's going to happen. If we don't get clarity as to what caused the repeated fake smears against the president and his administration, it'll just keep happening. We have this story now, Rand Paul brought it up, about a staffer for Adam Schiff coordinating with another individual to remove the president by any means necessary. Misko, my understanding now, works for Schiff. Well, Judge Roberts wouldn't read his question. I can't say the name of the other individual on YouTube, and we'll never know what really happened. And so long as we don't, guess what? Guess what comes next? Well, I'll show you. What comes next is this. Jonathan Chait, the man from the New York Mag, who claimed on Rachel Maddow, on MSNBC and in New York Magazine, that Trump may have been a Russian asset since the 80s, now says the Republican cover-up will backfire. The House can keep investigating Trump. And you heard it. The never-Trumper, anti-Trumper, whatever you want to call them, Russiagator conspiracy crazies are telling you right now, you think we're going to stop? You're wrong. It will never stop. And now the call's on the Republicans. You need to actually stand up and figure out where the corruption is. Otherwise, the country will be dragged over and over again. And if you're a Democrat, you should probably agree. Impeachment has been a resounding failure. Russiagate, a resounding failure. Trump is fundraising like crazy. His approval rating is up. His rallies are bigger than ever. Yet for some reason, the Democrats insist this is the course of action to win. You know what the definition of insanity is, as they say? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's more of a colloquial or academic understanding of insanity, but I think that's what we're seeing. But there's some interesting information. Now look, I'm recording this, and I got to admit, I don't like recording on big breaking stories like this early, because by the time this goes up at 4 p.m., I record about a couple hours early. This could all be done. Some of you might watch this, on Saturday, and this could all be done. But check out this story from Politico, why I decided we should talk about what the Democrats are doing and what comes next. Trump's impeachment trial could extend into next week. Dear Lord, help me know, please. I would love to have this video go up and then later tonight them say, we have acquitted the president. Impeachment is over. Of course. You know why it doesn't really matter? Why does it matter if it goes into next week? And it probably will. Because as I just showed you from Jonathan Chait, they're not going to stop. And I got more to show you. They're not stopping now. Just check it out. But let's read this first. This is the important context you might want to know. They say, White House officials wanted more time to prepare their closing arguments in the case, said several sources. Politico reports the Senate impeachment trial for President Donald Trump could drag into next week, even as GOP leaders appear to have the votes needed to prevent additional witnesses and testimony from being offered, according to Republican senators and aides. Republicans suggest the trial could extend into Wednesday of next week due to scheduling concerns over the Iowa caucuses on Monday and Trump's State of the Union address on Tuesday. Could you imagine what a time to be alive? The president will give a State of the Union address and the next day be cleared of wrongdoing in a Senate impeachment trial. To me, that just seems absolutely absurd. Politico says, quote, "It's probably going to drift a little bit," said Senator John Thune of South Dakota, the number 2 Senate Republican. May well be into next week. Maybe we'll be into next week. I don't know what they're trying to say there. White House officials wanted more time to prepare their closing arguments in the case, said several sources close to the issue. A delay would also provide more time for closed-door deliberations by senators and would allow them time to make their own statements from the floor on the case. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is expected to make an announcement on the floor Friday afternoon. Quote, "I think there's probably interest on both sides to bring this to a reasonable conclusion," Senator John Cornyn of Texas said. "The question is, how do we land this airplane in a way that is fair to everybody concerned? And I think we'll hear more about that from the leader at some point." A senior administration official speaking on the condition of anonymity suggested it will take the Senate leader time to set up the witness vote and the final vote on acquittal. Quote, "And then once we've finished the time to set up the final vote on acquittals, then it will take time to actually go through all the debate. The organizing resolution controlling the impeachment trial only covers up to the period when the Senate debates the issue of whether to depose additional witnesses, which the House managers and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer have been strongly pushing for during the last 2 weeks. McConnell and the White House adamantly opposed that motion, arguing it was unnecessary and could drag the trial on for weeks or months. Interestingly, Trump's defense said, as they were arguing, Schiff claims he proved impeachment already. And Schiff apparently said he did, to which Trump's defense said, well, then why would you need witnesses? It's a really interesting question. In my opinion, there was never an intent to actually win. It's just chaos. The Democrats are not helping themselves. They're helping Trump. He's fundraising, like I stated. His approval rating's up. It's just pure chaos. For what reason? I have no idea. It seems like there is nothing left on the side of the Democrats. I got to admit, Trump's doing these massive rallies. The economy is booming. He's got a plan for re-election. On the Democrat side, it's just meaningless. There's no meaningful talk of policies that make sense. Nobody really agrees. Biden and Bernie are neck and neck, and they're not even the same party, at least according to Ocasio-Cortez. And then when it comes to impeachment, they're basically just saying, I don't know, let's just make it go on longer. None of it makes sense. But I want to show you how they're trying to extend and accuse and lie. Marco Rubio published a statement, and he made some pretty good points. They're trying to misconstrue what he's saying to make it seem like there's not a real fair trial. Check this out. Rubio says in his statement, why does impeachment exist? As manager Jerry Nadler reminded us Wednesday night, removal is not a punishment for a crime, nor is removal supposed to be a way to hold presidents accountable. That is what elections are for. The sole purpose of this extraordinary power to remove the one person entrusted with all of the powers of an entire branch of government is to provide a last resort remedy to protect the country. That is why Hamilton wrote that in these trials, our decisions should be pursuing the public good. Quote, that is why 6 weeks ago, I announced that for me, the question would not be whether the president's actions were wrong, but ultimately whether what he did was removable. He says the two are not the same. Just because actions meet a standard of impeachment does not mean it is in the best interest of the country to remove a president from office. He says to answer this question, the first step was to ask whether it would serve the public good to remove the president, even if I assumed the president did everything the House alleges. The main point here, and Marco Rubio is 100% correct. First, on the surface, he's correct that just because Trump may have done something wrong doesn't mean it's going to help anybody or the country to remove him, especially this close to an election. But that's not the way people are framing it. You see, deep down, Marco Rubio is more correct than most people realize. But of course, here's what we see. Blue checkmark Twitter users. Actual line. Just because actions meet a standard of impeachment does not mean it is in the best interest of the country to remove a president from office. I see what they're saying. And Jake Tapper said the same thing. Rubio. Just because actions meet a standard of impeachment does not mean it is in the best interest of the country to remove a president from office. Why are they seizing on this line out of context? Because they're making it seem like Marco Rubio and, to an extent, the Republicans believe Trump is guilty. We saw the statement from Lamar Alexander when he said, yes, they've proven that Trump did this. Why would we need witnesses to prove what they claim they've already proven? And now with this line from Rubio, the statement is the trial isn't fair. Republicans admit Trump did wrong and still refuse to remove him. Full stop. That's not what he is saying, or at least not how I see it. Let me rephrase it for you. Just because we have probable cause for an arrest doesn't mean it would help to convict, or better yet, doesn't mean we can. Just because the grand jury returned an indictment doesn't mean our case is strong enough to convict. Impeachment is not a conviction. Trump was impeached, and that means there was a probable cause that he may have done something wrong, and it should go to trial. What Marco Rubio is saying is what they have presented doesn't meet a standard of conviction. And if we want to take it on the surface, it doesn't meet a standard of removing the president outright. You can be impeached because you did something inappropriate or wrong, but removal is very, very serious. Of course, they're already trying to frame it this way. I was surprised to see Jake Tapper presenting this out of context quote without giving an opportunity for Rubio to actually explain what he was talking about. But of course, this is the nature of the beast. Take a look at this. Bolton says Trump told him to set up Giuliani meeting in Ukraine. Why did this story drop today at noon? Why did the Bolton story about a manuscript no one's seen drop just the other day as we're nearing the end of the Senate impeachment trial? Well, I'll tell you. In my opinion, these leaks are they're very likely to be selective. Now, I don't know who's leaking what or why. I will say, for Bolton's book, how fortuitous. The maximum press you could get just before the end, when everyone's debating whether there should be witnesses, you release some information and everyone then talks about your book. And guess what? When your book finally drops, you're going to sell a lot of books. That's PR 101. It's brilliant. But it's also very, very convenient for Democrats that they're arguing for witnesses. And then all of a sudden, selective, unsourced information begins to emerge once again. When the story about Bolton's book dropped, I did not cover it. You know why? Because every single time we get a bombshell, a day later, it's retracted. When I looked at the story, you know what I heard? Apparently, the New York Times talked with people who are familiar with the manuscript, who heard that a portion of it says John Bolton did X. I don't care. Unless you present me with the manuscript and a statement from John Bolton, I don't care. But how convenient and how beneficial to the Democrats when they have no real evidence that all of a sudden a story emerges that literally proves nothing. Now, Trump denies he ever told Bolton to set up this meeting. And the meeting wasn't a problem. The problem is whether or not Trump's motivation was to win an election or to stop corruption. Republicans certainly say Trump was fighting corruption. I don't know about that. Democrats certainly say Trump was trying to dig up dirt on Biden. I don't know about that either. But the burden is on the Democrats. You don't got to convince me of either. You simply, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who has, let me rephrase. The Republicans don't need to prove anything. It's the Democrats that need to prove Trump did something wrong. And they haven't done any of that. The burden is on them. I'm not going to assume goodwill on the part of Trump. I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't need to. Because the Democrats need to provide evidence as to Trump's motive, and they have not done that. And I'll tell you what, I don't know how many times the Democrats can cry wolf, but I'm just not interested. Absolutely not. We already went through years of Russiagate. Then Hillary Clinton calls Tulsi Gabbard an asset of the Russians or implies it. They then deny it was about Tulsi. I'm sick and tired of hearing it. This man, Jonathan Chait, was claiming they're going to keep investigating. Yeah, they will. And you know what's going to happen? The Republicans aren't going to do anything about it. How much do you want to bet? Now, Rand Paul, he tried. Much respect. But what about the rest of them? Lindsey Graham saying, no, it's not the time and place. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I want to see then. If you believe you're right, Senate Republicans, then I want to see subpoenas and testimony and investigations into these people. If you're saying now is not the time, then the time should be immediately after acquittal. It's about time Republicans went on the offensive and pushed back against the endless scandals. This is not about policy. This is not about politics. I don't care for whether you think there should be a certain tax rate or certain choices between different groups. This is strictly about two tribes that are fighting. And the Republican tribe never strikes back. Maybe once or twice. The Democrats won't stop. They're relentless. Even when it hurts them, they just won't stop. And until the Republicans turn around and say, you know what, now we're going to investigate back, it will keep happening. I know Donald Trump is pushing back. He is investigating. But I think it's fair to say there's a big difference between Trump and the Republicans. A lot of these Republican senators are wishy-washy on Trump. Let's be real. They really are. Some people are mad that enough Republicans don't have Trump's back, but Trump isn't a traditional Republican. And these people who have been in office for a long time aren't the traditional Trump base. They've fallen in line because of how much the people like Trump. And so now all of a sudden you see these Republicans turning around. In fact, many of these people and many personalities hated Trump in 2016. So I don't think they're willing to stick their neck out for Donald Trump to prove him right. I think it's up to Trump and his appointees to actually do these investigations. But you see what happens when he looks into Biden? They impeach him over it. Perhaps if the Republicans actually stood up and pushed back, we'd see something different. It's not about Democrat or Republican for me, like policy-wise. What this is about is that I had to endure 3 years of Russian insanity and now Ukrainian insanity, and I'm sick of it. I want to know who started this and why they put all of us through this disaster. Will the Republicans actually do it? I doubt it. But let me wrap up with this. Just a few quick points. On the 24th, it was reported by ABC News, Trump campaign launches new anti-impeachment TV ad amid Senate trial. The campaign is scheduled to drop a $10 million Super Bowl ad next weekend. Yes, Trump has weaponized impeachment to his benefit. It's obvious, but it bears repeating. The Democrats have only hurt themselves. I really have no idea what they're doing other than being a completely destructive and chaotic force. Trump campaign credits impeachment for massive $46 million fundraising haul. Yep. This was from the end of last year. Congratulations, Trump. We now have the Intercept reporting during impeachment trial, GOP senators schedule blitz of high dollar fundraisers. This is the end, the home stretch. And all of these Republicans are milking impeachment for all it's worth, and they are loving it all the way till the end. I'll wrap it up with this. Trump won. He won before impeachment even started. Now, they may not vote until next week. Maybe they already voted by the time you watch this. I don't know. But you know they're not going to stop. And I really doubt Republicans will actually do anything to stop them. So it will just keep happening. But I will leave you with one warning. In all of the head-to-head matchups, well, almost all, sorry, Trump loses. The only one he wins as of the 30th is against Pete Buttigieg. Unsurprising. As of Monday, Pete Buttigieg. In fact, on Sunday, he didn't beat anybody. Now, you might say the polls are wrong. That's fine. We also see Trump's approval rating higher than it's ever been. If those polls are right, are these polls right? I got to admit, I do think these polls are wrong. I just can't imagine after this failed impeachment that Trump could actually lose with a record economy. People are very happy. And I've heard over and over again from people all over my neighborhood, at least, that 2019 was the best year for their businesses they've ever had. I don't see how that translates into Trump losing. But I'll leave you with at least one anecdote. I was talking to a local near my house recently. He told me he didn't vote in 2016. He said that he wasn't really, I didn't vote. I don't know. And guess what he said? He said that he might actually vote for Trump in 2020 simply because of all the impeachment, the nonsense and everything they're saying about Trump. Someone told me they might actually vote for the guy because they're sick and tired of what the Democrats have been doing. And that's why Trump really won. Trump won the moment the Democrats annoyed everyone to the point where they said, enough, I don't want you to have the megaphone anymore. They have the House. What's going to happen come November 2020? They're going to vote R across the board to take the megaphone away from the Democrats to just stop the nonsense. But it won't, because the Republicans in office need to do something about it, and they haven't been. And it's been now 3, almost 4 years, and they haven't done anything to stop this. Some of them have. I know. I'm not trying to be mean. Devin Nunes, certainly. Matt Gaetz, Rand Paul. There have been some people. But as a whole, they have not gone on the offensive. I doubt they will. We'll see what happens, though. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. at youtube.com/TimCastNews. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all there.